All right, Jets fans, our 2020 season is now officially a wrap, and it is time to head into off-season mode. Two main things simply wanted to discuss today. Number one, the official end of the Adam Gase era. Number two, the now ongoing head coaching search. Look, first, simple take on Adam Gase. It was a doomed hire from the start. As I say myself, the logical take at the beginning of the hire, the logical take in the middle, the logical take at the end. It was a bad hire. It was never going to work out. Of the options they were looking at the time, that was the disaster hire, and they went for the disaster, and it turned out to be a disaster. It's as simple as that. One thing I do want to say about Gase, look, when you look at his resume, you wouldn't think he's a bad coach. I mean, look, he started out with LSU. He started out with Nick Saban. He moved on to the NFL. He got some decent opportunities. He worked his way up the chain. He was a head coach, made the playoffs, was around some decent offenses, whether he was responsible or not. You would think the resume is semi-decent, and there should have been some optimism. But look, shoulda, coulda, woulda. You were trying to trick yourself if you thought that was going to work out. It's as simple as that. So put a bow on it. The Adam Gase era is done. And look, time to move on. And it's Joe Douglas's team now. And excited to see how he approaches his coaching search. And look, next, I want to dive into some of the head coaching candidates and how I would rank them, who my preferred options are, and who my avoidable options would be. So let's dive into this. From my perspective, how I'm approaching this head coaching search for the Jets, I break it down into tiers. There's tier 1, which I deem a great hire. Tier 2, I deem a good hire. Tier 3, I deem a fine hire. Tier 4, deem a we'll see hire. And Tier 5, a simple disaster hire. Do not go this direction. So, I mean, the way I'm going about my list of candidates, look, it doesn't make sense to pin candidates that have absolutely no chance of interviewing or taking a job with the team. Just not worth it. So, the list that I've put together and have broken down into the tiers is based on from the current reporting from the NFL reporters on coaches that are linked to the team, and from my perspective, logically, they have a realistic chance of potentially taking the job with the team. So, to begin first with the Tier 5 disaster hires, I'd say at this time, there's not specific names that I would have, but it's more of a definition of this tier. Two ways I would define it. First way I define it, if you are a miserably failed head coach. Yes, there's going to be some 500 head coaches that get a second chance. It works out, no doubt about it. Some guys deserve the second chance, and it'll work. Not much more to say there. But if you were a miserably bad coach, you don't deserve the second chance. So for me, you're a disaster hire. Stay away. Would not bring them in for interviews. Other definition is, of course, so not everyone has the coaching experience, is someone who led a bad unit simply. Whether it was a defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator whose team's statistical breakdowns were not good. Like, why would I want the team to simply just get involved with a coach who was not in charge of a good unit? So, Tier 5, if names do come up throughout the search, I'll add that throughout my tweets. I'll bring it up potentially in another discussion, but that'll be my first part of my breakdown. Stay away from those coaches with that definition. Next tier coaches that I want to break down is my tier 4. We'll see. Maybe could work out coaches. Right now I have 3 coaches that are in this group. First coach I want to break down is Brandon Staley, current defensive coordinator for the Rams. Actually, the Jets have reportedly requested an interview with up to this point. Look, hire could totally work out. This one, I think, just comes down to a lack of NFL experience. Staley's 38 years old. He's got a decent amount of college experience. Only a few years in the NFL and 1 year as a defensive coordinator. Like I said, totally could work out if they go this route, and glad if it did. But with the other candidates at hand, I think this would be a little bit of a riskier move simply, so that's why I would group him into my tier 4. Next coach that I want to touch on is our former offensive coordinator for Rexy, Brian Schodenheimer. Personally, I'm not against this hire. I think most Jets fans would be not thrilled about this hire. But look, you can't deny the work that he's done right now with Seattle's offense. Yes, you can give a ton of credit to Russell Wilson and the skill players. That's clear. Yeah, but you could do the same with other coaches as well. So I think you got to give Shoddy some credit for the work he's done with this group. Reason I group him into tier 4, yeah, he's probably at the point where he's earned his shot to get a head coaching opportunity. But factoring in, again, the other candidates at hand, the fan base's thoughts on it, and the excitement that the team could have, I would probably stay away from Shoddy at this time. Again, could work out. I personally would not be opposed if they go this way. But I'll group him into tier 4 for those reasons. Third coach that I have in this group, which may be a little more controversial, but is just simply not one of my favorites of the options at hand, Greg Roman, current offensive coordinator for the Ravens. Again, resume at hand, he's got some accolades that you want. Look what he did with Lamar. Did awesome work. There's no doubt about that. Look what he did way back with San Francisco. Kaepernick took the team to the Super Bowl. Was able to juggle 2 quarterbacks. Clearly shows he has some experience to get the best out of his offense and his quarterback group, which of course for us is a huge focus. Yeah, in the middle of his last 10 or so years, spent some time with the Bills, was so-so, nothing outstanding there. I think he could be a fine hire, could be a good hire. The experience definitely speaks for him, but I would personally stay away. And that's why I have all 3 of these coaches in tier 4. Could they go this route? Could it work out? Absolutely, no doubt about it. I would support all these hires. That's also a key point to this. But I stay away from these and prefer my tier 1, 2, and 3 options, which I'll talk about next. Absolutely. Next tier I want to talk about is my tier 3 fine hire coaches. These are coaches I would define as, if the Jets happen to go down these routes and eventually hire these coaches, I'd be okay with. Get a thumbs up from me. Are they my favorite coaches? That would be, a home run hire. I wouldn't deem them this way, but definitely could prove me wrong and I would be okay with it. So right now I have 4 coaches that I group into this tier. 3 of them the Jets have reportedly requested interviews with, and the 4th there has reportedly been linked interest to, but no reported interview yet. So first 3, current Indianapolis Colts defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus, current Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy. Number 3, current New York Giants defensive coordinator Patrick Graham. And number 4, University of Florida head coach Dan Mullen. First, let's talk a little bit about Eberflus. Look, when you look at his resume up to this point, worked up his ranks starting in college with Toledo, took on some more roles, took on some more responsibilities, has NFL experience, right now running one of the best defensive units in the league, no doubt about that. And look, there's a logical tie right there. Right now, Jets have Rex Hogan, former Colts executive, in their front office, one of Joe Douglas's right-hand guys. It makes sense, logically, no doubt. Be comfortable if they go this route. Seems like it could be a good hire, but would it be one of my favorites? I wouldn't say that, but I think it definitely could work out, which is why I put him in the fine category. Next coach thing to be a little more debate on. I think Bieniemy would be more of a fine hire from the Chiefs. Look, Andy Reid is the offensive guru. He's the guy running what the Chiefs do day to day. He's the play caller. He's developed the quarterbacks in the past. Bieniemy up to this point, he's been a running back coach. I'm sure he's heavily involved. It's strategy, scheming, game planning. He's definitely assisting the offensive unit. From reporting and reading that I've seen, he is for sure respected by the players. A lot of them vouch for him. But look, I think with some of the options out there, and if we're going to go down the offensive route, there's a lot of other coaches that also do make the play calls, have some more involvement in the area. So, look, is he working with one of the best, with arguably the best offensive unit in the league? 100%. If they go this route, would I back it? No doubt about it. but is he, to me, a great hire? I don't know about that, but I would hope he proves me wrong if we go this way. Definitely would be content with it. Third hire, which I think is an interesting one, third interview request that the Jets have put in this group is Patrick Graham, Giants defensive coordinator. Look, the Giants defensive unit this year was not expected to be good. Let's be upfront about that. And from what the Giants have done defensively, from what was expected preseason, greatly exceeded expectation. It became one of the better units in the league. And who was responsible for that? Patrick Graham. He's worked his way up. It was a positional coach and had a lot of experience with the Patriots. So, under the Bill Belichick, Brian Flores coaching trees. Well, he's got a resume there based on that. Could it work out? Could it be a good hire? Yeah, sure. No doubt about that. Would I be the most excited for this hire? I think there's better options we can go about, but I think it's a good decision that they're going to at least interview him. Let's see what he does. You never know what happens. Fourth one, which I would deem as a fine hire in Dan Mullen. Look, the resume does speak for itself as well. Started at Ole Miss, worked with Dak Prescott. Look at him now. Awesome quarterback. Very reliable. Throws for a ton of yards. Throws for a ton of touchdowns. Not too many turnovers. He did some good work there. Let's be clear about that. Florida right now, he's rebuilt that program. They're on the rise. They're back as one of the premier college football programs. He's done good work. There's no doubt about that. Could the NFL be the next step for him? Could he maybe even reach higher potential? Sure, possible. Is it going to be my top hire, my favorite hire? I wouldn't say so. I think he's definitely a good coach. With the other options at hand, would I be as excited? No. So that's why he's in the fine category. But again, if they went down this route, could it work out? Absolutely. So this is my tier 3 group of coaches. Look, if they go this route, again, would get my thumbs up. I hope they prove me wrong and turn out to be great coaches, but we'll see. I think it's a good start with these group of coaches that they have, or 3 of them already planning to interview. So we'll see what happens here. Next tier of coaches, which is my tier 2 good hires, I would define these guys as coaches who I'd be more comfortable with than my tier 3 fine hires, but I wouldn't group into tier 1 for 2 reasons. Simply don't think they would be a great home run hire. And the other factor, being realistic from reporting that I've seen so far through Twitter and what I've read, coaches that may be going another direction. So, first, Tennessee Titans offensive coordinator Arthur Schmidt, who the Jets are reportedly expected to request an interview for. Second, have San Francisco 49ers defensive coordinator Robert Saleh. Third, Stanford University head coach David Shaw. And fourth, who honestly is one of my favorites still, University of Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh. All right, first let's dive into Arthur Schmidt. Look, simply to say, his current resume is awesome. Titans offense has been tremendous. Look at the work that he's done with Ryan Tannehill. Look at Derrick Henry tearing it up and down the field each week. The Titans offense has just been incredible. And look, that's what happens with these coordinators. They're going to get looks based off of the work that they've done. So he definitely earns himself, to me, the good hire category based on the current work that he's ongoing. Titans offense looks great. Of course, one of our big upcoming challenges is going to be the quarterback situation, and we're going to need a coach who definitely is a CEO head coach, but also someone who's going to be able to take care of our quarterbacks. I think Arthur Smith would be a great hire. Also think he's going to be in demand, which is why I didn't put him in the great category. So I put him in tier 2 more for that reason. I would be very content with him, but I don't know if he's ultimately going to land here. Number 2, Robert Saleh. I would put him in the tier 1 grade as well. San Francisco's defense has been awesome. He's rebuilt them from the bottom up to the top. But for the same logical reasons as Arthur Smith. From the reporting that is out there, it seems like he's destined for the Detroit Lions job. Nothing's set in stone yet. You never know if they can bring him in for an interview. Stuff could change. But for that fact, I put him into tier 2. More for that reason. I would deem him as a great hire, but I don't think it's going to happen based on the reporting. And if stuff changes, we can reapproach that definition. Number 3, David Shaw. Stanford University's football program is consistent every year. Always a solid program, always competitive. When Shaw took over the reins from Harbaugh, the program has stayed in good shape. One of the premier college football teams. Yeah, they're not the top of the top, but he's done a great job. He's always been rumored to be in potential consideration for head coaching roles. And look, as been discussed, Jets need someone who's going to be able to groom a quarterback and be a CEO head coach. I think David Shaw will be a perfect fit for a CEO head coach. I could put him in tier 2. I think he'd be a very good hire. Unsure if he's going to leave college, but we'll see. The Jets reach out to him. I'd be thrilled with that, but it would be more in the good, not great category because unsure if he's going to leave college. Number 4, and this is where there's probably some differences among my fellow Jet fans. I'm a big Jim Harbaugh fan. I think the guy might not be the best college coach, but I have the utmost confidence in him as an NFL head coach. In my mind, no doubt about it. The work he did with San Francisco just always stood out to me. I mean, yeah, it's been a little time now, no doubt about that. It's been some years away. His current tenure with Michigan, not the best. Can't really debate that as well. But this is just more of a hunch, more of a feeling. I just think Jim Harbaugh is fit for an NFL head coaching role. I was thinking of his brother for a second. So, look, if the Jets, well, let me go back a step. Woody Johnson has always been interested in John Harbaugh. This has been reported in the past. Potentially could still be the case. Also, it's unsure how involved Woody will be in the process, but I'm simply a Harbaugh supporter for an NFL head coaching job. I think he would be great again if a team gives him a shot. I wouldn't doubt him going that direction. I'm sure a ton of fans would disagree with that, and I think that's a fair one to debate. And ultimately, I put him more in tier 2 instead of tier 1, as again, I don't think he will ultimately leave Michigan. I think he's going to stay. I know it's reportedly been that he's in extension talks with them, so we'll see. I would personally be excited. I don't think Jet fans would be excited, but that's why I deemed him tier 2 for that reason. Now for the final tier, which we've been building up to, is my tier 1 rate hires, which I would deem as the home run hitters, the best choices the Jets could make. So, 5 guys I have grouped in this category. Top 2 to start it off, college head coaches. Northwestern head coach Pat Fitzgerald and Iowa State head coach Matt Campbell. Number 3 would be Baltimore Ravens defensive coordinator Don, nicknamed Wink, Martindale. Number 4, current Carolina Panthers offensive coordinator Joe Brady. And for number 5, Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator Brian Daboll. Now, first, let me start with the college coaches. Simply, these guys are the CEO types of the program builders. Pat Fitzgerald has been with Northwestern for 10 plus years. The program is consistently competitive in the Big Ten. He's respected. He's made a program that should not be in competition with some of the top college football programs consistently in that discussion. That's the type of CEO head coach you want. Would be absolutely thrilled if the Jets go down this route. So, we'll see. Could happen. Unsure if he'll definitely leave, but it is potentially more likely he could leave now with some changes in the athletic department at Northwestern. Number 2, Matt Campbell, Iowa State. Look, I'll be honest. When this name was getting floated around last time around when the Jets were requested to interview him, and now again, I was unsure based on the resume. Yeah, it looks like he rebuilt Toledo. He's rebuilt Iowa State. But after that, I was like, okay, that's good. But, why should I be that excited about him? But from more of the reporting that's been done and from more that I've read about him, he really does seem like this CEO type of head coach, program builder. Players love to play for him. I've changed my opinion on the guy. I think he'd end up being a great home run hire. I know a lot of Jets fans would love this hire as well. So I think the check marks are simply there to fit a great home run hire for this coach. So I'd be thrilled with either college head coach there. We'll see what happens if those two do decide to at least take an interview. That's the part that's unsure and unknown. So, third head coach, Don Martindale. Now, logical connections here. Joe Douglas spent some time with the Ravens. Spend time with Martindale. The Ravens defensive units, awesome. The guy has ton of ton of NFL coaching experience. A little bit older, but the guy has put his time in. It's time for him to get his chance as an NFL head coach. One fact that I love from the reporting that I've seen so far, it's rumored that he would love to bring on Clemson offensive coordinator Tony Elliott as his offensive coordinator and potentially pair Marvin Lewis as his defensive coordinator to his defensive staff. Look, it's intriguing based on that. And another fact to add in, it was also reportedly known that he wanted Joe Brady, my other next candidate to talk about, as his offensive coordinator choice last year if he hadn't been hired in that cycle. So it's been said he was very deep into the New York Giants process, was close to getting the job, and left a good impression. So I'd be very excited about this hire. The logical connections to Douglas make a ton of sense. Think it would be a great move, and the guys earn the opportunity. We'll be thrilled, again, if the Jets went this direction. Fourth head coach, to me, is the bold hire, which is why I deem him great. Carolina Panthers offensive coordinator Joe Brady is exciting. Yeah, if you look at statistics of the Panthers offense this year, it wasn't top notch. I'm not going to debate that. There's no doubt it wasn't. Was the work he's done with LSU incredible? Yes, when the arguably the best college offense in a season in college football history. Had some prior NFL experience with the Saints under Sean Payton. Look, he's young. He's in his early 30s. Doesn't have a ton of even positional assistant coaching experience. But look, sometimes you got to make the bold hires. So this is more of a hunch hire. I think if the Jets went this direction, it'd be a little bit of a risk, but absolutely could be a very, very high reward. An offense-driven league, I'm comfortable with a ton of these defensive options, but I think Joe Brady would be an awesome and exciting move. Simple comparison. I was on the Cliff Kingsbury train last time around. I think Brady is the Cliff Kingsbury train type this time around. I'm all aboard if they go that direction. I'll say it as simple as that. And then my last option in this group, who I'm very excited about if they went this way, Brian DeBoer, Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator. Look, former coach of the Jets under Eric Mangini, so has some former experience with the team and ownership. Been around the league a bit, worked with Nick Saban also at Alabama. Took on some various roles in the last 10 years in the NFL. And look, what I'm really sold on this guy the most on, look at the work that he's done with Josh Allen. Look, I'm a Jets fan. That I buy into Sam Darnold? No doubt about it. I wanted him to be the guy. Was a hard no against taking Josh Allen. Thought that would have been a disaster. Look at the guy right now in the MVP discussion. You got to be honest and say Josh Allen is a great product right now. Who's responsible for the development of that product? Brian DeBoer. Who's in line, or who's earned the opportunity to get a head coaching opportunity? Brian DeBoer. It's going to be in demand. I'm not sure if the Jets are going to be his top choice. That's also going to be a piece to this as well. But I'm glad that, and also it is reported that the Jets have requested an interview with DeBoer. So we'll see. I think right now, if I were to give you my favorite hire to sum up my whole list, I know I've deemed Joe Brady as my most exciting favorite hire, but I think I would actually say Brian DeBoer would be that pick. But anyone in anyone in this tier 1, I'd be very, very hyped for. Others, I'd be very, very happy for. The entire list of names that I discussed, I'd be okay with. And as other names come up through reporting and interest that has become known, we'll have some more takes on that. But keep a lookout on my Twitter for my takes on that, and we could maybe discuss that in upcoming videos. So, hope we enjoy the NFL head coaching discussion for the Jets. Excited to see how it develops, and for some upcoming content soon, just to keep an eye out for. Now, I think it's too early to dive into the roster and moves they should or shouldn't make, as well as the quarterback position. Definitely want to do a whole video on that. But I think you got to get the head coach in place first. So stay tuned for that once the team hires the head coach. And then from there, we'll talk more about the quarterback, roster moves I would and wouldn't make, my dream offseason for free agency. And of course, we're going to have to talk about the draft. And at some point, we will put out a mock draft. So let's see what happens. Exciting next few weeks, Jets fans. Hopefully it works out. Let's get it right this time. Time to get on the right track.